Hi, I'm Rebecca Pigram, Public Information Officer for Rockingham County, and today we're here to discuss the Connect Rockingham broadband initiative with several of our partners. At our round robin table today, we have Dawn Sharaba, the Executive Director of the Reidsville Area Foundation. We've got Derek Southern, IT Director for Rockingham County, County Manager Lance Metzler. We've got Dr. Rodney Shotwell with the Rockingham County Schools. He's the superintendent. Then we've got Dr. Mark Kinlaw. He's the president of Rockingham Community Colleges. And we've got Joe Prater, who's with Spectrum. He is the State Government Affairs Director for Charter Spectrum. Thank you all for joining us here today. Welcome to our area. We are so thrilled to have this project in Rockingham County. First, I'd like to start and open up with, this is such a high-level project. Can anyone explain kind of an overview of the project and then your individual roles with the project?
So this project started approximately 4 years ago in our budget retreat with our Rockingham County Commissioners in the 2018 year. They made it a focus for broadband internet for the residents of Rockingham County. We started down the endeavor of basically trying to identify and determine where the needs were throughout the county. And by looking at federal and state maps, it was discovered that a lot of the data was inaccurate or incomplete. So we started doing information sessions, and then we partnered with the Rockingham County Schools to send out a survey to identify where the needs were throughout the county. From that survey, we were able to collect and determine the needs and determine that the need was not just in one area in the county, but it was throughout the entire county. As part of that, we then started sharing that data with potential vendors that could try to solve the gap and provide internet to these areas. We tried a wireless solution early on, and we just discovered it was not feasible with the lay of the land here in Rockingham County. So we started looking at different avenues and what would that be. And then we got offered some questions up from Spectrum and other vendors related to great grants and applying for that. And what we did then is provided all of the data that we had to any vendor that would like to apply for those great grants. And we were able to successfully in the first and second round receive great grants for the county to provide it. But those were very limited because the only way you could provide internet to those areas were that everybody in a census block had to be unserved. So as part of the project, we kept discovering there were still leaving large gaps throughout the county. So when the money came available for the ARP funds to be used and some of the laws changed in the 2021 budget in November, it allowed us to provide money to areas that were known unserved, which means 25 meg and less. So that's where we released an RFP. We had several different vendors respond to that, and Spectrum was chosen because of their broad reach throughout the county. They didn't just focus on one area. They were able to reach all four corners of our county and making sure that we would have a fiber backbone throughout the entire county. So that's what's led to where we are today with the announcement of this project.
Thank you so much, Derek. Can you touch on the total cost of the project and where that money is coming from?
So the total cost of the project is $14.4 million. $10.4 million of that is coming from Spectrum. The county and its partners are providing roughly $3.985 million. That is Reidsville Area Foundation, Rockingham County Government, Rockingham Community College, and Rockingham County Schools. There is an additional funding from these partners that is in a contingency for the unknown, because we know that we'll discover address points through this project that we're just not aware of, and that we have a agreement in place to have a second phase of this project to provide internet to those homes.
Okay, thank you, Derek. I'll open this next question to the entire panel. Why is this needed in Rockingham County, and can you elaborate on who all this will affect?
Well, I can speak on behalf of economic development, and I'll leave the educational portions to Dr. Kinlaw and Dr. Shotwell. But as far as the economic benefit, so Rockingham County is a rural county. We are surrounded by a lot of urbanized counties. And we have not had the ability to be able to have connectivity throughout the county. I think our director of IT, doesn't have connectivity at his home. And there's a lot of residents throughout the county that don't have connectivity. And one thing that we thought was very important was we want to make sure that people can live in Rockingham County, work in Rockingham County, regardless of where their home base is, their headquarters is. So, for instance, you could be at home and be a finance advisor for a larger company that's out of California, but work in their home. Also, again, like I had mentioned earlier, that broadband's much like water, sewer, gas, infrastructure is very important and vital. We did lack broadband, and in 2 years, our hope and desire is that the vast majority of Rockingham County will have access to broadband connectivity for educational purposes, for economic purposes, for telemedicine, for any needs they have. They can take care of their needs from home versus having to travel on the roads for any specific reason. So I think that in itself, not to mention we have areas of the county that we would like to see economic development growth in, commercial and industrial, but currently they don't have the connectivity they need in order to provide their services or come here. And so hopefully by getting this internet connectivity out there to them, they'll be able to locate in Rockingham County. Would be a more appealing county for them to consider.
Well, education is really one of the cornerstones for Rockingham County's future and success. And as I said at the press conference, it was blatantly painful to see the difference of access that folks had in the county. When you have it yourself, you just kind of take it for granted. And then you find out that folks are really struggling to be able to connect. And it's like, how fair is that for just because I want to live out in a rural area and have a beautiful view? Why can't I have high-speed internet? I mean, this is a beautiful county, and we want to keep our kids here. And one of the things that we absolutely have to do is figure out a way to make that connection work. And that's what this project does. And, Charter Spectrum was a partner with us back in 2007, where we ran high-speed fiber to all of our school sites. That was a huge undertaking. We did it through E-rate and local funds, and Charter Spectrum helping us with that. And so this is the natural progression. We brought it to the schools. Now we need to take it out to the kids. And I can't wait to go back to Lowe's Home Improvement and talk to my favorite mom over there that asks me about high-speed internet each and every time. I'm going to you got 24 months, something's going to happen. So, we're excited about that. And I think our board is keenly aware of how important connectivity is for our kids, because we really saw that difference when they were at home.
Yeah, just from the college's perspective, you just cannot go to college anymore. It's hard to even have K-12 without broadband internet access. It's just the way we're structured now. And as I mentioned in the press conference, we've really made a lot of progress at the college from an internal standpoint as to what we can do in terms of offering distance education. And we've done a lot from an infrastructure standpoint on our campus, but it doesn't. You can't connect all the dots unless unless our families in our community have that connectivity that they're going to need. So, and as Dr. Shotwell said, it was just very disheartening. It was very painful when the early stages of COVID hit, and I think that shed a light on a lot of this I think it's like Dr. Shotwell said, our enrollment was pretty good, and we felt like we were making a lot of progress. And boy, COVID hit. We had to switch to virtual instruction, and all of a sudden we realized, hey, this isn't working. We went out and created hotspots across the county. We loaned computers to students, but it wasn't nearly enough. And it's just painful to see students drop out because of the connectivity or the lack of. And so that was just very hard to watch. And we're still dealing with that some, as we're still in COVID and still dealing with this pandemic, and it's still creating, just some issues for us. But the way we're structured, all of our courses, even our traditional, what we would say is a traditional course. I was a history major, so if we're teaching history on campus, for example, and it's in person, that class or that course has a virtual component to it. Every course we offer on the degree side of our house has a virtual component. All of the assignments are submitted online. A lot of the supplemental reading materials that we ask students to read, they're online. A lot of tests are done online. So you just have to have that connectivity to be able to go to college. And I know Dr. Shotwell's even seen it with K-12. That's just where we are now. We're going to be moving more and more into that virtual type of world. That doesn't mean we're going to stop teaching courses in the traditional format. We're always going to do that, but they're just going to have a virtual component to it. So the connectivity is critical. And so the other thing that we're seeing, I mentioned this in the press conference, we would like to reach out more to non-traditional older students that have families, they have jobs, maybe they want to retrain, maybe they want to improve their skills, maybe they want to get a particular license or certification to go to work. Well, a lot of those types of programs are run on the continuing education side of the house, and we're looking to do more of that online, because that way we can reach out to those families whose parents want to improve their situation and retrain, and we want to do it online. And so the connectivity is going to be critical. So rural areas have a lot of barriers, and you hate to see these types of barriers stand in the way of our students being competitive. And I'm just really excited about what the opportunity is going to be for our students and our residents. And I think about where people might want to live. We've had a lot of economic development announcements, and there's going to be more. And you just hate to see people restricted in terms of where they have to live. It is, as Dr. Shotwell says, beautiful county, and you want to be able to live where you want to live and still have that connectivity. So I'm really excited about it.
And also just to elaborate a little on what the county's perspective is for this initiative is the commissioners, our county commissioners, had the foresight to make this as one of their top priorities in 2019. And fast forward to 2022, we're in a contract with Spectrum to again provide that last mile of connectivity to the home. So we're really thankful for that, and it's a mission that the commissioners had in front of them, and this is one that we can see to fruition. But just taking the county's perspective, as far as the residents in the county, now they will have opportunity wherever they are, if they're connected, to pay bills online, to be able to go through our community development process, through our planning department, to do research on the county. We've encouraged staff since COVID had hit. We've encouraged staff as much as possible to be able to telework when they can. Well, this gives the opportunity for them to do that. I know that when we went through the COVID stage and we wanted to get everybody out of the offices to telework, it was difficult for many to work from home because, again, we are a rural county and several of our employees work from areas that did not have connectivity. So this is something it's a combination, as you can see, from education to county government to the nonprofit Reidsville Area Foundation. It's a collaborative effort to make sure that we provide the best we can for the citizens of Rockingham County. And I think the opportunities have presented itself. I think the commitment from everybody's side is a commitment to show the public that we're here for them. We hear them, we see their needs, and I think it's a good showing that we've come together.
Yeah, I just think so much has changed. We used to, as Mr. Metzler mentioned a little in his press conference comments, I think we used to see this sort of as a luxury.
And now it is a basic need of life. You just have to have it. And so I think that's a point we need to understand, that this is just something, it's just like water. In water access, you've got to have it.
Yeah, it's like when I mentioned earlier about the infrastructure. If you don't have water and sewer, public water and sewer, you can drill a well. You can put in a septic system, but you can't put in broadband. It's got to be provided. And so I think that's important to make sure that we understand. And as you mentioned, it's a luxury. Years ago, some of the younger folks in here won't know, but years ago, it was a luxury to have a cell phone. Now, cell phones around every corner, and everyone has one. So that's a good point made.
Thank you all very much. Ms. Sharapa, would you like to explain on behalf of the Reidsville Area Foundation who all this will affect and the need that you saw from our nonprofit point of view?
Yeah. So for us, we know that in order to participate fully in society, in today's society, you have to have access online. We have partnered for many years to get access within the school, so helping to fund technology, one-on-one device programs. But when the school shut down, that equipment and access is only so good. And so really looking at how do we expand our reach into community and support home internet access, not even looking at only availability, so infrastructure, what we're looking at, but access, adoption, and affordability. So we know, yes, this project is amazing and huge and will serve our nonprofit partners, the community partners, but we also have issues that we have to look at around devices and getting people internet, low-cost internet access. And so everyone at this table is committed to that, and I think this huge part on the county moves that work further, faster. So,
let me follow up to that, if you don't mind. Can you briefly touch on the people that you are directly involved with, your nonprofit, and how maybe the programs that you guys offer and how that will impact Rockingham County?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you all have, Dr. Shotwell might have, but have tried to tutor someone in math online. It does not go well. And so that's where we saw a huge divide. We saw people that were able to log in, to access and be online all the time. And then we had students, clients with, the Domestic Violence Center, with some of our free clinics that could not get online and did not have the transportation to even get to those spaces to access services. So we knew that there were people that were not being served fully in our community. So,
thank you. Derek, you discussed this briefly, but can we talk about maybe how this project started and just a quick timeline? Quick as in, we haven't been working on this project for the past several years. Maybe, Lance, you've mentioned, you got phone calls and emails from people and you would take notes on sticky notes. Can you walk us through that timeline, the past several years to where we are now to ultimately our goal?
I'll just start off where I did, and it was very elementary for me. Basically, I got phone calls from citizens that complained about not having access to broadband internet. So I would write them down on a sticky note or whatever I had. I'd pass them along to Derek, and then would get petitions in from various communities. Then I would pass that along to Derek, and then he had the general idea to start a survey, and I'm going to let you go from there.
And with the survey, we partnered with the libraries and making sure that we were reaching people that were coming to the library to make sure that they could fill out the survey because they did not have internet at home. We also partnered with the schools of getting it sent home with the kids. Then we promoted it on our Facebook and our websites. And we received right around 1,300 responses from that. From looking at state data, that was a pretty high success rate, which led to us having the data to provide to the vendors of the needs in the county. Because that was one thing that the vendors were not necessarily looking at Rockingham County, because the federal maps showed that we were 95% covered. And we knew with the boots on the ground that that was not true. So those surveys were very helpful. And then that led to this project. And what does that mean from this project and going forward? We are working on a very tight timeline of trying to work through this in 2 years. But we only know the address points that we've been able to identify thus far. So we will be developing a portal on our website, which you will be able to search your address and determine if you're part of this project. And if you're not part of this project, it will prompt you to enter information so we can research and see if you can become part of the second phase. Just to be clear, the only eligible funding that we're allowed to provide is for people that have internet that is 25 meg down or 3 meg up or less. So that is what this is involved in. So there will be a process for you to find out both if you're part of this project and then how to get your address researched if you feel like you're eligible for funding.
Thank you so much. I, again, am going to open this question to everyone. This is a more personal question that I want to ask. First off, what does this project mean to your organization? I know we've touched on that from our schools aspect, from our nonprofit, Reidsville Area Foundation, but also the county. But why are you passionate about this? Like we've said, internet is a basic necessity like water and power. So can you touch on why maybe you as a person are so passionate about making sure our community has broadband access?
I guess I'll take that one to begin with. That's a simple one for me. I'm pretty passionate about it because it hits home. I can relate to all of the citizens and their needs. I have a wife that's a school teacher and 3 children, and I'm an IT director, and I don't have internet. So I totally understand the needs. I understand the importance, and I understand the frustrations of trying to teach kids and work from home and try to juggle it all when you're working from hotspots from your phone, or you're driving to someone's house that has internet, or you're sitting in a church parking lot using free Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. I really can relate to that. So, yeah, I'm pretty passionate about making this happen.
And for me, just as Dr. Shotwell said, that when the ones who have the connectivity, we feel comfortable with it. We are so accustomed to having it that we can't see the perspective of Mr. Southern. At home right now, I can work from home. I can do research. My kids can do research. They can study at home. We can watch church from home. And you forget all these things when you think about those who don't have it. So to have that shows an appreciation for those who don't have that. That's the reason we were very passionate about it, so that others can have the opportunity to have the opportunities that we have.
Yeah, I think for me it's just about access. I just feel like it's my job as a school superintendent to ensure that every child can be as successful as they possibly can. And, some children come from more challenging backgrounds, and when you add lack of access to internet to that, it just really compounds the problem and puts them behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to find success. The idea of them being able to reach out to their teachers, have parent conferences, to reach out for social emotional support is really incredible. Our homebound students, it just evens the playing field for everyone. When you hear people say, well, I can't go to college, I couldn't afford it. Well, there are folks that do, because they borrow money. They do whatever it takes to be able to get it because they feel like they've got to have that. Well, that's kind of how internet is for our kids. If they have it, we're giving them a leg up that they would not otherwise have. And, the amount of knowledge that's on the internet for our kids to be able to find and use is just absolutely incredible. For some of us, we remember the encyclopedias.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah. Because I can remember there were some, some elements added to the periodic table based on the age of the encyclopedias that I was using at the time.
Yeah, for us, for me, from the college's perspective, when I was in graduate school, my dissertation chair wrote a book called Access and Excellence, and I'm like Dr. Shotwell, it's all about access. It really is for our students, and it's just disheartening to see those that can't, that have that obstacle and they can't pursue their life's goals because they just don't have connectivity to the internet. So for us, a lot of our whole existence at our college is driven by enrollment, so I want to make sure that we can have the opportunity to have good enrollment at the college, and our students have to have access. We offer a lot of our student support services now online. We do a lot of our orientations online. which has been very successful. We offer mental health counseling online. We offer tutorial online. So, the students just has to have that connectivity, and it's a lot better to have it in their home instead of having to go to a relative or a friend. And we just saw during the pandemic that just doesn't work long term. It may work for a while, but it just gets really difficult. So it's about access for me as well. It's just hard for us. I can't see how we can help students to be competitive without it, and it's just to me it is the access that's so critical.
Thank y'all. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have the extra step and take my mask off. I would agree with both of them. I think for us, it's not only that, so meeting the immediate need, but imagining what could happen in our county. And so understanding the growth it has for our economic sector, for our tourism sector, and just really being innovative and excited about what it will bring. And the short turnaround, the 2-year turnaround, will advance us well beyond counties that surround us. And so to be determined, I guess, is what I would say, is what exciting.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, if I could, though I don't have a personal tie to Rockingham
Absolutely.
County, I feel like I've spent enough time here the last few years I can consider myself a part-time citizen of Rockingham County.
Welcome.
And, while I am proud to work for a company that is going to provide what will be a life-changing service for a lot of folks, we've talked about the ability to learn remotely, to work remotely, worship remotely, and for that parent that wants to, take some online classes or maybe apply for a different job and give their family a better chance at a better life. It makes me proud to be a part of that movement. And as we've talked about before, like was just said, Rockingham County is growing, and this is going to be that catalyst to just continue to grow. And we're excited to be a part of that. And this is kind of a first of its kind project where it's not just a partnership between an internet service provider and a county, but to have these other entities come in, and it really does have that it takes a village approach. And it's just a really exciting thing to be a part of, and we're happy to be here. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that personal touch from our partner, Spectrum. But I also, today's word, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Today's word is access. We've tossed around that word. You've got to have access. But now the question is, how do our citizens, maybe in the unserved communities who maybe can't afford it, or elderly communities, how will they get this access? Is there funding that could maybe help with that? Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. And, there's two big issues across our country. One, to your point, that we talked about, is access, having the access to the broadband infrastructure. But the other issue is affordability and adoption. Internet service providers can build to these areas, but if folks can't afford the service, then nobody wins. And our company does offer a low-income package. It's called Spectrum Internet Assist, and it's if an individual, whether it's a child that's on free or reduced lunch, or an elderly individual in the home that's on SSI, if they're eligible for those federal programs, they're eligible for our low-income option, which is a $17.99 a month package. We take a lot of pride in being able to help provide for those that may not otherwise afford it, and we're going to be looking to the county to help amplify that message and do some events to get the word out about that as well.
Joe, thank you for mentioning that and providing that. And I think we also have a lot of nonprofits who are helping residents get connected to low-cost internet by Spectrum, or to help with devices, or even just learning how to use an iPad or how to use a device, which can be tricky and scary if you have not done that. So NC100 and several of our nonprofit partners are creating programs. I know the school system has counselors who are helping people get connected to those as well. So resources are developing as this project builds.
And if I could add one more thing, too, because there are federal opportunities that Spectrum does participate in. What used to be the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program through the FCC, which is now, I believe it's now called the Affordability, it's ACP, Affordable Connectivity Program, I believe is what it's called, which we are a partner and a participant in that federal program, too. So similar to our Spectrum Internet Assist package, if they're eligible for those federal programs, they're eligible for this. It's a reimbursement essentially. So essentially, if they're eligible for that and they pursue it through that program, our $17.99 would essentially be free for them a month while the program is existing, which I believe the federal government's going to continue to fund such programs at least through the end of COVID.
And as part of this project that we put together, it was some of the requirements, and Spectrum even stepped up and offered more than the requirement to offer. We're going to do some type of events at maybe the libraries or the YMCAs where people can come and sign up, and we can do an informational event to try to help citizens. So that would be even for existing customers and the new that is part of this project. So they're taking that very serious.
And also to your earlier point, Don, digital literacy is another important, because if you have access to the internet but you don't know how to safely use it, so we have certain programs that we can also help as far as digital literacy classes. Maybe it's to teach some that are aimed at the younger folks on how to safely navigate the internet, and some that may be aimed at elderly, how to avoiding scams and some of the dangers of the internet. We will be more than happy to help provide some classes that will help address those issues as well.
Can you teach me how to do TikTok?
I'm not in the TikTok. So.
I can help you watch them, but I can't help you make them. Okay, so we've touched on what this project is. We've touched on who this project will benefit and what this means to you guys, and even who can access it and how they can access it over the next couple of years. Can we maybe explain when our citizens can start seeing actual change in our community? When construction maybe begins, and when those without internet access can maybe start seeing that access.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to get started as soon as we can. I know we're having some internal kickoff calls this week, and we're looking in the next week or so, or the week after, we're going to try to have a kickoff call with the county where we'll introduce the county to our field operations and construction groups, just make some introductions, swap some contact information. The lines of communication are going to be open throughout this whole process. And so, but we're hoping to break ground here in the next couple months. The initial phases of a project like this are actually getting out, walking out the project, seeing exactly where the needs are going to be. We've identified the addresses, but now we have to do the walkouts, the design, and that's what we'll work closely with Derek and the county to get all of that squared away. But we'll hope to break ground, obviously, within the next few months. And then, as it's been mentioned before, it's an aggressive timeline. We're aiming to complete the project in, hopefully in 2 years, if all goes well. Obviously, there are a lot of issues right now with supply chain and labor and all of that, but we have set an aggressive timeline that we hope to meet.
And part of this project, it will not be 2 years before the citizens receive internet. There will be phases through the project and zones and areas that they work through the county. So you will see it phased in. In our great grant, our first one, it was about 9 to 12 months into the project. The first groups started receiving it, and then towards the end, the final groups. So it'll be a phased approach. Citizens would expect to see Spectrum and or their contractors out working. So you will see them lay in the conduit for the fiber lines, and then later another crew will come in and add the fiber to those conduit lines. And then the next phase of that is actually connection to the home. So there's multiple phases of the project. So you'll know when it's near, when you start seeing the fiber lines or the fiber being attached to the poles. But it's a multifaceted project.
And to Derek's point, you will see a lot of Spectrum trucks in and about the county, whether they're going to have Spectrum or there'll be a contractor of us. There'll be a lot of trucks out and about. So just give them a wave and make them feel welcome, because there's going to be a lot of folks driving around.
Just a question: how will they? So once the line's in the ground, how will the residents be notified that they can connect?
Absolutely. So we like to do door tags. So when we're coming into a neighborhood, as soon as, or down a street, when we're laying it and service will be available soon, we'll usually put a door tag on the door, letting them know, hey, we're here. Sometimes we put them out proactively, just saying, hey, heads up, we're going to be coming through, and we'll even put a name and a number on that door tag that they can call to get a little more information about where we are in the process. So. That, and then we'll work with the county to try to get some messaging out once we're, we'll do some activation events, let folks know in certain areas where we're lighting up customers.
Thank you all so much. Before we kind of wrap things up, is there anything that you guys would like to add, either a personal touch or maybe something that you have thought about as we were talking, if you'd like to add?
I just have one thing, and this is to the citizens of Rockingham County. If you do not have broadband internet connectivity, reach out to us. Let us know. Derek, can you tell the different ways that they can contact the county if they don't have access?
The preferred method will be through a phone number and or website that we will set up, and they'll be able to search their address, and it'll have a portal that'll make sure we're collecting the right information. Just providing your name and an address point, there's still a lot of legwork that will have to be done to make sure that you're eligible for the funding. So we'll be setting that up on the website. It is www.rockinghamcountync.gov/broadband. You'll see multiple links. There will be maps on there. That'll basically be the information portal for the county. As part of that, you can always call our main number and then ask for information about broadband, and they will direct you to the appropriate person to collect the information.
And that number is 336-342-8100. And again, citizens, if you don't tell us that you don't have access, we won't know. So you've got to reach out and let us know.
I want to emphasize that. I know it's going to be a lot of phone calls coming in and a lot of connections, but this project is what we know. We know there's some unknown elements of this project, so the only way we're going to find out is from your input.
Thank you all so much. As you've heard from our panel, this is a multi-million-dollar project to bring broadband internet access to the citizens here in Rockingham County. If you, like our county manager and IT director said, do not have access to internet, we ask that you please give our county a call, 336-342-8100, and we will work as hard as we can to get you access to the internet. Like I said, that was our word for the day, access. And that's what we are trying to do, is to grant Rockingham County access. I would like to thank our board today, Ms. Dawn Sharaba with the Reidsville Area Foundation, IT Director, Mr. Derek Southern, County Manager, Lance Metzler. We've got Dr. Rodney Shotwell with Rockingham County Schools. He's our Superintendent. Dr. Mark Kinlaw with Rockingham Community College, and Joe Prater with Spectrum.